Welcome back to Ruff Talk VR. Dive into your weekly dose of in-depth game reviews, exclusive developer chats, and the freshest scoop on MetaQuest and the VR universe. Today, we're in good hands with the dynamic father-son duo D-Scruffles and Stratus, ready to decode and discuss all things virtual reality.
Hey, welcome to this episode of Ruff Talk VR. Today we're talking about a game, and yes, we do game reviews still. I know I joked that last time we did a game review, but it has been a minute, that's for sure.
There's reason, though.
Well, now we kind of have a lost episode because we recorded a whole game review of Survival Nation, and then my laptop crapped out. Sent it in for repair. I'm still waiting on it, but it's on.
There is an episode on there.
There's a lost episode, so we actually have done a game review since the last time we've done one. It's in the abyss. It's the lost episode actually right now. So, but we're on to the next. You know, if we don't get that episode back, then we'll have to do a re-record of a Survival Nation review. That's always the worst, but nonetheless, the game we're talking about today is Dungeons of Eternity. It's a game made by developer and publisher Othergate. It's their first game I've heard of. I won't say for sure it's their first game, but I've never heard of any other work from Othergate.
It's their first game for me, regardless of whatever they've done.
Well, they're coming out of the gate with quite a good game.
They're coming out strong.
Yeah,
man.
Dungeons of Eternity. It's to go over the boring stuff first before we get carried away because we've been loving it. It's got a 4.7 overall rating on the MetaQuest store currently, with 648 ratings already and 463 written reviews. So that's not bad.
You know what's fucked up though?
What?
Is the player base for it is I mean, you look at the leaderboards in the game, and you're at almost 8,000.
Yeah.
8,000 place, and then you got people under you. And so one could argue, 10,000 players, but there's only 648 reviews.
Yeah, that sounds right. I mean, it's tough to get people to review.
Remember a couple of years ago, the variance was it was a lot different. Now it's like, holy crap. Reviews are a terrible.
And we played it quite a bit, and our ranking on the leaderboard is not that high, but
it was good when it was pre-release.
Yeah, this game came out October 5th, 2023.
And we did have it early.
Yes, for free as well. That's worth mentioning as well. Yeah. We got free access to it. I always like to put that disclaimer. It is $29.99 on the official MetaQuest store, but this game came out on October 5th, and it's already at 648 reviews. We haven't seen that many games this year really explode with reviews, so that's really cool to see. And this game, it's solo. You can play it single player, or how I love to play it, you can play it co-op with 2 players or up to 3. And that's, to me personally, where the game shines the most. There's been people in our Discord who have actually been, which shout out to the Ruff Talk VR Discord. If you're not in there yet, go visit the link in our show notes, go join that. But there's been people in our Discord, plug. There's been people in there saying that, they've been playing it solo and they've loved it. So you don't have to play it co-op, but
I've done it both.
For me and you, co-op is really where we fell in love with the game.
Just, when you're killing dead shit, it's better to have a buddy with you than not.
Yeah, always.
You can use tactics on the NPCs and stuff and strategy, but you can play it solo.
Yeah,
quite successfully.
And to explain what the game is, it's a procedurally generated dungeon crawler, basically. Kind of like a roguelite, right?
They classify it as an RPG.
They say a RPG because you have stats and level ups.
You know why I don't call it a roguelite? Is because the dungeons are different.
Different, yes.
So that's the only reason. If it was like the same dungeon every time, and even if it's the same dungeon, like the room per se, in the scheme of things, there's going to be different shit in there. It's going to,
slightly different layout. No, they do a great job, but it's kind of like a dungeon crawler.
That's fair.
You have your character, which they start you in the game. They take you through quite the tutorial. In my opinion, the game didn't shine in its full beauty during the tutorial, but tutorials, it is what it is, right? But in the tutorial, they explain quite a bit about the game, how to edit your character, their avatar, their loadout, how to go through the game, how to loot. And inside the game, there's 3 different game modes once you're done with the tutorial, and they teach you the base of the game. You have your basic dungeon run, which is what me and you fell in love with for most of the game. In a dungeon run, the concept is you go in, And you can pre-see the layout of the dungeon before you select it. And basically you have to make it from point A to the exit point where there's like an extraction point. And you find this like giant sphere thing. You hold A on it, and then that'll go to teleport you out. And waves of enemy come out. You got to fight them, find these batteries, put them in there, and then you get out once you get enough batteries. In that mode, you're getting a lot of XP for killing enemies, but more importantly, you're getting loot. And that's the whole point of a dungeon. One is to really get loot. And in order to get loot, you don't really get anything just by getting to the end. You have to find chests throughout your dungeon run itself. So you can't just find a chest and open it either. It's kind of got some RPG elements. You need to find a key. And in order to find a key, you can sometimes find a key by killing an enemy or by destroying like vases or wooden blocks and stuff like that. But be careful, because sometimes those wooden blocks or barrels, they have poisonous gas or they explode, and you can kind of get an idea of what it's going to do. Like the poison ones, there's like a green design on it a bit. The exploding ones, they're red. But sometimes the dungeon's dark and shit happens, right?
I mean, pretty much so. I mean, you got the potions, and there's a handful of them. It's a very immersive. I'll start off with full disclosure of saying the first time I played it after the tutorial, I came to you and I was like, nah, dude, I think I want to do this other game first. And I won't even mention the other game because I actually was saying I enjoyed it better than Dungeons of Eternity. And you're like, we went to play that night and like, well, what do you want to play? And you're like, well, let's play Dungeons of Eternity again. And I'm like, shit, man. So it was about the second or third time I played it. It like really all clicked for me. Like I figured out, I mean, it seems simple. I mean, grab a weapon, right hand, left hand, or run off your back, depending on what it is, and kill shit. But it just wasn't like really sinking in with me to enjoy it. And then something after that second time.
I think it was getting loot, because again, in a dungeon run, so you find the key either by killing an enemy or by destroying a destructible item, and then you put it in the chest, and there's different levels of chest. You can kind of tell what it's going to be just by the appearance of it. Sometimes we'll see a chest and we'll be like, look at that weak ass chest. Or we'll see a chest, we'll be like, dude, that's a diesel one. So some chests give you like 75 gold all the way up to 200 gold. And right off the top, when you open it and you see the amount of gold it gives you, you know how good of a chest it's going to be. It's like the 200 gold ones, they give you gold, cosmetic,
yep,
a potion, usually a power gem, and then a weapon loot. But the lower ranked ones, they might only give you, in some cases, just money.
Just some gold.
All the way up to, sometimes you'll get
75 gold.
Sometimes you'll get money and a cosmetic. Sometimes you'll get just money and a potion. You know, so the chests have variants, and you, like I said, you can kind of get an idea of.
Oh, I know what the beast chest looks like.
Yeah, it's got that nice like metal design on it.
If I got one key and I know of two chests, I'm not running back for a shitty one.
No. I mean,
not happening.
There's been times that we find like 4 or 5 chests in a dungeon, and unfortunately, somehow I've only found 3 keys, so we got to spare 1 or 2 chests in order to do that.
It's all randomized. I mean, there's some runs you can do, and like you said, we
8
find
keys.
We both are maxed out on keys
because you can have 5 keys each,
and then there's no chests. There was like literally 2 chests in the whole level, and then there's others. We were like, and when the beauty of this game is, you know, obviously if you don't do this, you'll never play it again, but you can save a good dungeon and
up to 10 of them
and go back to it. So if you get a really loot happy dungeon with a lot of chests, then definitely you save it. You can go back in there and
re-loot up and get some more loot.
And we've saved dungeons that we got our asses handed to us in.
Oh yeah. And
because that'll happen sometimes.
And in a dungeon run, it's like that's your classic dungeon crawl, and you can kind of pre-see the layout of the dungeon before you select it. So some of them are pretty simple, where it's like go straight, and then there's a right turn and there's a left turn, and that's it. Then there's other ones you can see multiple levels. They go pretty intricate, so you can kind of pre-select how complicated of a dungeon you want. But when you go into a dungeon, you can't see the map anymore by default. But they do have these items that you can occasionally find in the dungeon that's literally a map. Yeah, and one of them.
There's no plural there.
Yeah, I've never found two of them in the same run. And you're also not guaranteed to find one. There's been many runs that I don't find one, and we search pretty good.
It's a Pokeball map.
Yeah, pretty much. And you can hold it in your hand and it shows the map kind of mini. Or if you throw it on the ground while it's open, it like shoots up big for the whole group to see it. But they can still see it in your hand if you hold it mini.
I like dropping it on the ground.
It's cool though. You go over.
I like where you look, you can see your triangle on the map. Look, so if it's one of those, and then once I know, like if there's 3 doors, I'm like, all right, no brainer. We'll have this one first. We'll run out and.
But you got to keep that in mind when you're selecting a crazy dungeon. Remember that layout, because if you don't find a map, it's very easy to just maybe go the same spot or go, oh shit, did we check everywhere? So I always like to have a map. When you have a map too, it shows you on the map the dungeon or the chest that you've already found. So it makes it easy to like mark where you've already been and stuff like that.
But don't rely on it.
No.
You're not guaranteed it.
No.
I'll put it that way.
So that's kind of a dungeon run. You go in, you have to get from point A to point B and
you
extract.
don't have to loot shit. You can just make it to point A to point B, fight the final round and be out.
Correct, which you'll get XP for and level up your guy.
But you're not going to get cool weapons.
No.
Because they do have a tiered weapon system going on.
Correct. Where sometimes some of the weapons you find, it goes all the way from common. It can be common, then unique, then rare, or legendary. And all of the weapons and the dungeons in this game are randomly generated. So every like 10 minutes or so, maybe 15 minutes, I don't know the exact time, the dungeons reset. All kinds of them. And, that's why it's so important to save a dungeon. If you love it, if you
loved it.
Yeah, and you can only save the last one you had just played. So if you love one, make sure to save it right away, because you play another one, you can't go and select that now you want to save that one from 2 ago. That's not how that works. So yeah, every, X amount of time, the dungeons reset, and they're a different layout. Like you said, you might see some recurring, like, oh, I've seen that room similarly in another one. Yeah, there's still some variance in it. There's still some slight difference both in the layout, what's in there, like you said, what monsters. And also that applies to the weapons too. So the weapons, when you find them, there might be, Jesus, how many different weapon types do you think there are? You have small swords, medium swords. What's that one called? A falcon or whatever?
Falchion. You have a dagger.
Then you have a dagger, shiv.
You have a shiv, like you're doing prison time in there. And that's hammers, crossbows.
Correct.
Shields that do damage as
clubs, bowcasters,
maces,
crossbows. And then you have staffs. You have different magical staffs, like a shockwave one that blasts them around. My favorite, the ice one.
Frozen one.
You have a healing staff. So all this different time, you're going to find different weapons that do, you might find the same weapon twice in name, but they're going to do different amount of damage, and they're going to have different special effects. Like sometimes you might get a bowcaster that shoots poison arrows or shoots freeze arrows. Or
like my new one that I just got last night.
Oh my goodness.
Shoots 4 arrows.
Before you have to reload.
I can click, and then
it's
just
insane.
reload it.
And it shoots poison.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, because it's randomly shooting a poison arrow, on a chance every whatever the chance is, the more arrows you shoot, the more frequently you get a poison arrow. So because you're popping out 4 arrows so quick, you're encountering poison arrows in that shuffle so much faster than if you did it one at a time,
Oh, dude, just throwing 4 arrows as fast as I can pull the trigger is a, let's be honest, that's a game changer.
So you can get freezing effects in your weapons. You can also get, I have a sword that does vampire damage, which I was like, vampire damage? I haven't seen any vampires in the game, but no, what it means is sometimes when I hit them, it steals the damage from them. And then, so there's a whole bunch of different types of dungeons and weapons that you can find. You're never guaranteed to get the same effects, same damage, totally same weapon that anybody else did. And there's no guarantee that the dungeon that you saw that night is ever going to come up again. So the game has so much replayability just in that random aspect. And then
they give you the ability, because you have to craft everything through a craft system.
Fabricate.
But they give you the ability to sell it. So when you get duplicates, you don't even have to craft it. You can just sell it right from the get-go.
Yeah.
Really good avatar changes.
Customization, yes. We referenced in a dungeon run, you might get
so you got to earn them.
Yeah.
And there's a shit ton to be earned.
We mentioned that there's cosmetics. So yeah, you have your avatar that you can customize. You can select their face type.
No, you can select what they give you.
To start, you only get like 4 different faces, some clothes. It's some real peasant clothes. Some
and
pants.
what you've got unlocked is totally different than what I've got unlocked.
To start?
No, meaning like where
at
we're
this
at
point, yes, correct. Every time we open up a chest, we each get our own things. No relation to each other. It's really cool in that regard. So in order to get the other body types, the other clothes, the other faces, the other hair colors, hair types, accent colors, which is the like color of your clothes and stuff like that.
And some glows.
And yeah, all that cosmetic stuff, you have to go and do dungeon runs. So the dungeon runs are essential for leveling up, for finding new weapons, finding new cosmetics, and leveling up. I can't tell you for sure that it does more damage or you take damage better. I haven't seen any stats like that. Maybe it's in the back end, but I'm not even suspicious that it's there. I'm more suspicious that it's not. What leveling up more does is it unlocks access to perks that you can upgrade your guy called Exo. It's like perks for your Exo suit is what they call it. So you can have 1 perk for your head, 1 perk for your body, 1 perk for your legs, and 1 perk for your arms. And to start, you don't really have that many available perks available. You unlock the perks as you level up. But in order to select a perk, you need something called an Exo point. So the only way to get an Exo point is to do a different game mode. I think it's called a crystal hunt. And you go in there and there's like a pyramid with 3 other rooms. And you have to go into each room, grab a crystal, bring it back to the home room, put it in. And then once you get all 3, then you have a big final boss fight, kind of, with waves of enemies.
It's true with all except for the soul one, but it's pretty true with even the dungeon run.
I kind of floated over it. That final battle in the dungeon run is intense. We've died on it many times.
Depending on the level.
Yeah. There's like different various boss types that you might encounter in that dungeon run, and sometimes it can be quite a headache, especially as enemies are coming in and you get swarmed. And that final battle is, I always expect it.
Yep.
So in the crystal hunt, there is a final battle, and during that time, in order to damage the enemies, as your souls are or your crystals that you put in the pyramid are being extracted, you have to run on these buttons. And then when you click on the button, that's the time that you can damage the enemies.
The Guardian.
Yes, I only say that as it took us a minute.
He's trying to, obviously, they're trying diligently to prevent you from
leaving with the crystals, correct. So if you do a successful Exo run, you leave with 3 Exo points to upgrade with each. So that's very nice.
Doesn't sound like a lot, but that's all you need is 1.
But here's the thing. In a dungeon run, if we die on the final fight, we keep all the loot and the XP that we got up until that point. We don't lose the armor and cosmetics that we got, right? We can just kill ourselves halfway through if we wanted to, just to be done with it and still get our loot. In an Exo run, you only get that Exo points if you get out of there successfully.
Yeah, you have to complete the mission.
Yeah,
or dungeon.
So a little variance in those game modes, one that you keep what you get.
But you can find loot in the Exo run.
Correct.
So
that is important.
The chests might not be as
frequent,
vibrant, as they are in a dungeon run, but they are there.
Yeah, you might
occasionally
get 1 or 2 chests versus 5 or 6,
which is better than none.
Yeah, I don't seem to level up as much in an Exo run either, but it gets you the Exo points. And then they also have a soul harvest one, which one person goes in and holds a staff, and the other one kills people. I mean, the guy holding the staff kills people too. In solo mode, you would be doing both.
You got throwable weapons.
Yeah, we'll go more into the gameplay, the actual combat. Oh my goodness, we kind of skipped over that a bit of like how badass they're throwing. But in the soul harvest, you kill them and then you suck up their souls with a staff. And your total amount of souls that you leave in, that goes to like your total soul count. And where you fabricate armor, you can also craft potions, which you'll pick up these potions organically in dungeon runs,
Yeah, but sometimes it pays to go into the dungeon with some potions.
Yeah, you have health ones, which is a giant health potion, which it heals you more, right? It's big.
Well, heals you to 100%.
Correct. That's
Doesn't
useful.
matter what your level is, and it's a group heal.
I was going to say that, but more importantly, to use it, besides just opening the potion, which you can just open it by clicking in your trigger and then tilting it back, you can also throw it on the ground, and then it heals everybody in that radius, friendly-wise.
Yep.
So it's a very useful one, but then they also have small potions as well, kind of like single-use. You can't share it, and it definitely doesn't heal you much at all, no.
15, 20.
You can get perks that heal you more from potions, but yeah, that skinny potion, I still bring it on me.
That's when I'm retreating. I'll try to drink some or something if I'm backing away.
Yeah, I'm on the
like if
run.
you die and I can't revive you, I'm like, oh shit, I'm just running backwards and pound a few of those.
And then there's like the last potion you unlock is an invincibility potion. There's one of my favorite potions called haste.
Invincibility.
I'm sorry, not invincibility. Invisibility. Invisibility.
There is no invincibility.
No, makes you invisible.
Makes your group invisible too.
Yes. Well, anybody that steps on it in that radius. If you throw it on the ground.
But it's multi-person, not
Correct.
necessarily stuck to one.
All the other potions besides that skinny, small health one can be used as a group. Like then there's haste, which makes you run fast. It reminds me of Skooma in Oblivion. Like you hit it and you're going so fast. It's fun. And then there's also a quad damage one. So in order to a power one, yeah. In order to unlock in order to unlock the different potions to craft, you need to collect souls. So when you start, you only have the health ones unlocked, and then, like I said, invisibility, emphasis on invisibility there. That's the last one you can unlock. Of course, one of the best ones, that's last. So, my ranking of which ones I care about the most, dungeon runs are my favorite, especially to start. There's really no point to get exo points to me personally when I was a low level because, I can't really use any of the perks. Although there might be an argument because something I didn't reference, when you level up, besides that it unlocks new perks, the big thing it does gameplay-wise, it makes the enemies harder. The dungeons get harder as you level up. So maybe there is something to get some exo points when you're low level. Don't use them, but have them banked. But I'm a loot whore, man. I love the loot. I love getting new weapons.
I would argue against the exo at least till level 10 so you can get a good solid couple of weapons under your belt. Otherwise, it's for nothing. So what if your exo point allows you 10% more melee damage? Well, if your weapon's shit,
it doesn't matter.
Imagine that 10% if it was a good weapon.
Because that's the thing. I don't think you do more damage and stuff just by leveling up. Where you do more damage is by finding a new weapon that does more damage.
It clearly says on the weapon what it does for damage. So you're right.
Yeah, it might be
there's no added
stats
boost you're giving it unless you get the upgrade,
the exosuit one,
which gives you the 10%, and you can upgrade that 2 more times if you want. So
yeah, that's an important thing to say. Besides, just you can, if you want, just spend 1 exo point on an upgrade, but you can stack them too. So then you can level up again, and then after that second level up, then it takes 2 exo points to level up more. So like I've been stacking up my perk that regenerates health every X amount of seconds.
I got it every 5 seconds.
That's what's mine on now.
Health update.
It's gonna take 2 exo points. Gonna take 2 exo points just to get it down to 4 seconds, but I'm tempted on it. I won't lie to you. That's one of the best perks if you ask me. So different variants and levels, and there's also, we reference throwing weapons. They start you with, I think, a bow and arrow, a sword, and an axe. So there's throwing weapons. Those weapons that are throwable, they're also usable as melee. So they actually do a shit ton of damage as melee usually. So throwable weapons are a must to have on me.
Every weapon will do good damage, but the dealie is where you hit the NPC. So it's like if you hit them in the chest, and some of them are armored, so you can piss off with that. But if you crack them dead center on the skull, boom, a lot of times you can one-shot them.
And it seems to factor how hard you hit, swing or throw, or that seems to be a factor as well.
Definitely.
How far you pull back.
There is throw assist.
On the axe, 100%
towards
assist.
the enemies.
On the bow and arrow and the crossbow is much more ruthless.
Not as
much more relentless towards the player. Yeah, it doesn't feel it.
You can. I threw at a vase before to crack it open, but there was an enemy to the left.
And it curved?
So it kept, like a boomerang.
Love it. So yeah, the throwing weapons I always have on me. I actually right now have a big wooden club with some spikes on it that does a bunch of damage. It's my highest damage weapon right now.
I think my new go-to is going to be the 4-shot crossbow.
So then, like we said, there's also a sword. So you can have 3 weapons on you. You can have either a sword or a throwing weapon on each left and right. And then on your back, you get to pick from either, the crossbow, a bow and arrow, or a magic staff.
Or a shield.
Or a shield, yes. Yeah. Thank you. Ooh, can't miss the shields. That's an important one, but it's so hard for me to pick a shield.
I have no desire for that. Although some of the shields give you some pretty good perks for...
They even do damage when you whack them.
Yeah, you can use them as a weapon in a lot of cases. So
that can be useful.
When I first got the shield, I was all excited about it. And then I'm like, what's the trade-off here? Because at the time, my crossbow was doing it would do an occasional slow motion. So like if I hit the enemy and they were susceptible to it, they'd go into slow motion mode. And then I had the freeze mode on it so that occasionally they'd freeze. Mm-hmm. It was just the luck of the draw. But I think it was only 15.
So at some point, even though it's got a better perk, you got to pass it up as you level up. It sucks.
Went from a 15 damage to, I see a 22, but it doesn't have the perks on it. I'm taking the 22. It's more damage. And now this one with poison arrows and 4 at a time. It's the hell out of here.
It's a never-ending rat race with that. Mm-hmm. And you can revive if you can see your health on your left wrist, which, by the way, there's money in the game. You find money on dungeon runs. You can find them just stacking. You kind of like pull grab to get it to you.
Or
you can
sell items.
Or you sell items, or you destroy vases, and there'll be money in there. Same way that you find different keys.
They give you They need to nerf the amount of money, though.
Yeah, because we have like 17K.
Oh,
all you spend
upgrades are like a couple $100.
Mm-hmm. All you spend money on is
fabricating,
making new weapons and new potions, and we can go into a dungeon. It costs like $1,000 to go in with not even. A couple $100 to go in with a full potion loadout of health potions.
Potions are shit cost, dude.
And you can hold 3 potions each of each type.
I think the single one's only 50, and I think the group one's 100.
And you can hold 3 of them.
So I usually go in with definitely the 3 big ones, and then usually one skinny, because I know for a fact we're going to find some.
And there's no like storage box to store stuff indefinitely, but the potions that you had at the end of the run carry into you in the next run too.
Keys do not.
Keys do not, though. Those go away.
They come back with you, though. Mm-hmm.
And dungeons also have kind of some puzzle elements in some ways. Like sometimes a chest will be behind a lever. Behind like a cage door, and you have to find a lever somewhere to pull it.
Or shoot at a target.
Yes, there's also ones that you have to shoot at a target.
They got pressure sensor ones.
Correct. Then there's also skeleton keys in the dungeon, too, that you aren't able to progress any farther in the dungeon unless you find this key and put it into the slot, too. So that's an important aspect. Sometimes you're forced to explore more in the dungeon, even if you wanted to go straight to the end. Sometimes you need to find a skeleton key in order to progress on. And again, you can, like I said, revive your fallen teammate. If somebody dies in battle, boom, their health runs out at 0. If you run over to them, there's like a resurrect thing, and you hold it to press A.
Hold A.
Yeah, and then you'll see the bar fill up.
About 15 seconds later, though.
Yeah, be careful, though. Be careful.
Dude, I push the edge with that shit.
Yeah, I'm always like, dude, you got balls. Because if both of you die, it's over. And like, I have an ice staff. So we got a nice loadout together. It's like, if I ice staff somebody together.
And they have a resurrection potion. So you can just run by and slam it on the ground, and boom, the guy's going to instantly pop up. But I would say if you're going to resurrect someone that way, let them know you're using the potion, because you're accustomed to
sometimes dilly-dally while you're dead.
Well,
yeah, you just see your guy in black and white there.
It's going to take at least 10 seconds plus before you're revived and you see your buddy there, but he just comes running by and then poof, you're back. Chances are is there's shit chasing your friend. So be prepared to get up and instantly be the center of attention for whatever's chasing them.
Yeah. No, that's an important thing. And if you have the resurrection potion,
that's good strategy.
If you have that in your inventory and you die in combat, you instantly come back yourself too. What's cool about this game too is there's like a lot of like jumping and climbing, dungeon navigation. But if you fall off the edge, not in combat, you just come right back. There's no like, oh, you died, now it's over in that regard. If you die outside of combat, boom, you're back. So don't be scared to take big jumps to try to get to the next platform or anything like that.
No, in some cases, the way by design, in order to get to certain things, you're going to have to take some pretty serious, and just a couple of I've only seen it twice, to be honest with you, but I was impressed with what you actually have to do to pull it off.
Yeah, a little parkour-y. But there is fall damage too, so sometimes it's better to fall straight off the edge than hit a surface, And then,
go ahead.
I was going to say there's climbing, but most of the climbing is done on a chain. but some of the chains are really big. I think they kind of got feedback that it would be tedious to go hand over hand the whole way up. So if you're climbing up a chain and you look up and hold A, it'll shoot you all the way up until you release the button, and same thing going down. So don't feel overwhelmed by the amount of climbing either. I'm trying to think if there's things that we miss in like the gameplay itself, how to play the game. It's an RPG, so you're swinging a sword.
If you ever played a hack and slash or
with magic, there's swords, shields, staffs, magic, bow and arrow, crossbow.
Enemies are pretty much what you'd expect. I mean, you got spiders and you've got really angry bees and you got angry hornets and you've got angry skeletons and then you got wizards. And then I encountered a new character I'd never seen before last night. And then they use like, if you see like just a normal skeleton, if you see a normal skeleton, he's going to be pretty easy to kill. But then they have red ones where if he hits you, it's wicked uncool. You can get webbed by spiders. You can get frozen by archers.
That's something we skipped, all the different enemy types. There's bugs. There's, like you said, spiders. There's bats. The bats are annoying.
Scorpions.
There's these things that fly into you and explode. They kind of look like...
It's a screaming skull.
Yeah. With wings, it's wild. It's like flaming.
Yeah. And when you see that, you want to kill it ASAP because holy shit.
Like you said, goblins, skeletons, wizards. There's like these floating eyes. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like a giant
mouth with 10 eyes.
Yeah. And then as you damage it, the eyes decrease, so you kind of have a gauge of how hurt he is.
And oddly, that's the only NPC that seems to fight with
other ones that
look like it.
But then
really strange.
Then there's also the ones that don't have any eyes, and they're like
they'll just eat you.
They make crazy noises. And then there's like a teleporting mage dude who's kind of a boss. That's an option that comes up.
Predator, dude.
Yeah.
That's a total throw on Predator.
And there's 4 different dungeon like styles to enter in each time it's generated. So you have like a red one, a green one, a yellow one, and each one has kind of a different overlying damage, I'll say, to it. Like the red one, they're fire based.
They make it pretty obvious.
The green one, there's poison. So
blue frozen.
Yeah. So that's kind of when you go in and you see the different dungeons, we thought maybe the last one's the hardest.
The red guys are the hardest.
Yeah.
I don't care if they're the archers, if they're just straight skeleton. They also have blobs.
Yeah, blobs.
They got blobs. And I'm sure there's characters I haven't seen. I'm only a level 20 something.
Mm-hmm.
So
it looks like that we get there's zombies, and like now the zombies are getting more sophisticated.
I encountered there's one that he's wicked. I remember the first time I saw it too, because I got really accustomed to just throwing my axe, whap. And then I threw my axe like I normally would, and the freaking guy dodged it. And I was like, are you kidding me? And the dude dodged an arrow. I'm like, that's impressive. Yeah. And then they got the one that he'll dodge and then he'll freaking jump at you.
The AI is really good. You can parry and block in this game, but the AI is so good at hand-to-hand combat up close. I like to stick and move. Yeah, I'm not sitting there and sword fighting with them.
The best advice I'd give someone if you want to do the up close and personal attacks, which I use as my last resort if I can't get you with my freaking crossbow, is let them do their little routine. Because I've learned like the easy ones will just take like 1 or 2 swings at you and then they pause. Where the red one has like more of a, he'll take 2 swings at you, maybe throw a kick and then move forward. So you can just time it and then go in and hit him and he'll be like pause for a second. You can usually get 2 off him after he does his attack.
Yeah, but there's been a couple times.
But you better step back.
I definitely die a lot more than you. And there's been a couple times I've died, and so I'm just seeing you. And when you die, you're just stationary there. Everything's black and white, but you can see the guy running around as long as they're in vision. I've seen you running around. You're trying to shoot at the guys, and like he's dodging everything. Yeah, like there's sometimes you can't get anything off.
Dude, sometimes 3 or 4. The worst is like it's just me and you, and freaking for some reason we just got murked early, and freaking it's like one guy left alive, meaning either myself or you, and you're trying to outrun 4 different guys. Well, in one case, I was able to outwit them to buy enough time to resurrect you back. But sometimes it don't work out that way.
That's why
You're
sometimes
just gonna have to hope for the best, man. But you can see when it's gonna go bad.
That I was gonna say, this game it snowballs. It goes from bad to worse very fast.
Real quick, like
there's been many times that we're dominating the whole dungeon and then we lose. In fact, our first ever dungeon run that we did together was comical. We've talked about this on the podcast before.
dude, it's terrible.
When a barrel explodes, it knocks you down to like 17 health, 25 health. You get really messed up. So I didn't know that, you look at your wrist at any time, you're going to see your health. We walk by it, boom, explosion. I'm like, whatever. I carry on. I go in so confident into the first battle. I get killed in one shot because I'm at 17 health. So you're dying laughing. You're like, dude, you were so confident. You got put down. And then you're getting chased. Boom, dead. The whole thing was like a minute.
I was screaming, I'm getting eaten.
So then after that, we got our rhythm and
Being eaten.
it's
But even the other night, dude, I mean, that
we
was
lost.
Pretty record-breaking loss.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the first XO
We
run
still
we
lose.
did, we didn't know that there. I don't know why we didn't think there'd be boss battle at the end.
Mm-hmm. So we
There
we
was.
weren't full health.
Oh
and-
yeah, we'll just go in there. Once we got this, we're done, right? We just pick. And I thought, I'm like, this is way too easy, man. We're just going into these rooms, killing a few guys, put in the crystals, we're out of here.
Yeah. So the game stayed
Not
hard.
that easy.
Even as we've gotten new weapons, even as we've gotten better, the game has stayed hard. And the only potions, since maybe this is because we don't have the other potions unlocked with souls, but the only potions that I find in loot of like destroying stuff and enemy drops is health potions.
Mm-hmm.
But I do get the other potions even though I don't have them unlocked
From chests.
from chests.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's just an important thing that I missed before. I'm trying to think if there's anything that we didn't go over with the game, to select a dungeon, you both select it. The host selects launch. Then it doesn't instantly launch. This took us a little bit to get the rhythm of. Then you go to the right into a new room, and there's
Launch pads.
a launch pad. Yeah, you have like a main outpost. We didn't explain this. Oh my goodness. In your main outpost, that's where you select your dungeons. And then if you set up an outpost as a multiplayer room, because in the home screen you select it as either solo play or multiplayer. If you select it as multiplayer, from there, then your friends on the home screen can see you online and hit join. So that's how you join somebody else's outpost if they have it set to allow you to. Or you can do it through the Oculus party chat pretty seamlessly as well. You both join a party together in the Oculus chat and boom, hit go to game. But then in your outpost, and it's cool if you're in the outpost, you each have like your own private room in the outpost, even if you're sharing one. So in your outpost, you can edit your avatar, edit your your loadout, fabricate your gear. In another room, there you can select your dungeon and kind of like the main area. There's an area where there's like the soul harvest guy. He pops out and talks some shit in whatever language that is. I don't really know what goes on there.
Spooky.
Yeah, they have it. They still have some of the tutorial holographs open, so you can kind of remind yourself of stuff too as you go through it. They have
A shooting range.
a shooting range, a combat training range, or not range, area that you can revisit. They kind of have a sit down by the fire area with these beer cans that I really hope they expand more on that kind of potential social aspect. But let's be real. If the game never got that, and it honestly never got an update, the game is freaking great.
Yeah, they're not letting you pour booze.
No, graphically, it's really good.
Well, I'll say graphically on the 3, it's really good.
Yeah.
On 2,
It's good.
I mean, this is the one where you have to select or
Yeah,
tell it
if
that it's
only
you're
if
on
you've
Quest 3.
if you've previously launched it before on the Quest 2.
Well, I think the majority of players
Yeah.
right now
If
have
you-
Quest 2 users upgraded, but
If you're on the Quest 3 and you've previously launched it on the Quest 2, you need to go in the settings, hit enhance graphics on, and turn on disable odds. Then you have the Quest 3
it
style.
looks tight.
Yeah, it looks real tight.
I
Big
wouldn't say
improvement.
perfect tight, but
No.
noticeable, like, holy Moses. That is wicked good.
So anything else that we didn't go over with how
I'm
the
sure
game
there's
is?
a dozen things.
Yeah, we'll talk
to be
about this
honest with
game
you.
more. I really feel like I'm not doing a service with this review for some reason. Like, this game is so in depth. It's so fun. We've been it's been our number one game. This and Ghost of Tabor will always be up there. But Dungeons of Eternity for a co-op game,
Tabor's a different.
that's a competitive online multiplayer. This is
It's an extraction game.
This is a player versus everything
This is
offline play.
I guess you could argue, in a sense.
It's extraction based. I didn't
But
want
you're
to go
not
over
killing other. You're not killing
yes,
other
it's
people.
not a competitive multiplayer. It's a cooperative multiplayer. in terms
It's
of
an adventure RPG.
co-op VR, this is peak. This is like some of the best I've had.
For the niche, it's filled it.
Yeah, they first showed it off at the MetaQuest Gaming Showcase, and I was hyped, and it's living up to it. We've been playing it pretty much every play session. I'll get the message from you. You want to do at least 1 or 2 runs?
It's going to be sad to have to shelve the amount of playtime on it, though.
I don't think we can. I'm too much of a
want
loot
another
lord.
review on anything else. I'm going to have to.
It might be a little hiatus again for a little bit. This one's freaking good. You know,
there's some really good freaking games right now.
I know. I don't know what to do. It's problematic, but this one's really good. Fun dungeon crawler solo, amazing dungeon crawler co-op.
That's where it shines.
It's an RPG dungeon crawler roguelite, I guess, with randomly generated dungeons and loot and weapons.
You're choosing though.
And potions and magic and hack and slash and shooting. And did I mention co-op?
They even have limbs that'll come off if you hit the
zombies.
Like walking.
Customized avatars. I mean, come on. I love customizing my avatar. When I see I get a new armor piece or a new cosmetic, after every...
My guy looks like a wizard.
So does mine. That's the thing.
He's got the wizard hat and the wizard armor.
I'm a wizard warrior. I'll make up my own lore. They explain some lore to you both on the store page and the start of the game, but I got my own lore.
You know what? I actually like the free-flowing lore.
No, I got my own
Creating
thoughts.
your own. Yeah.
They can tell me in any way that they want that I'm not a dungeon robber. I mean, a grave robber. I'm a grave robber. It's a bunch of skeletons and dead people.
I'm willing to bet there's more coming.
I'm a bandit.
I just have this weird feeling based on the main area layout. I'm like, I just have a feeling there's some other areas that are going to open up down the road.
Just in case we happen to interview the developer, just in case anyone from the dev team, just in case, if you're listening, comment on our YouTube, some things that you'd like to know about the game, that you're wondering about it, whether that's loot dropping, just anything, because I got my own personal questions. For a while, I didn't know how you could recharge a staff, because when you use a staff, it runs out of power. But you find these power gems and you take the power gem and you put it on top of the staff.
Makes sense.
And it recharges the staff. Yeah. So that's what power gems do. That's how you recharge a staff. But I didn't know I actually had to ask the developer. Isn't that funny? I sent him an email. I'm like, dude.
I couldn't figure it out either. I'm like, I don't know what to do with these fucking white gems. I'm like,
I'm seeing people.
They're pointless.
I'm seeing people online ask questions about loot dropping. So yeah, if you have anything that you would like us to ask the developer.
I'm most interested in the roadmap.
Yeah. What's coming next?
Yep. Whether it's a completed, it's done, which is fine if it is, or if there's a much, which I personally think there's a much, I won't say much, but there's more coming.
So other than that, you want to go into our final thoughts and our review?
Yeah, go for it.
Sweet. I guess technically we don't need to do an ad break either, since we did that on Monday. So that's nice. We'll roll right into our final thoughts and our review. That's an interesting touch. But I do have to plug say, hey, if you enjoy the episode, subscribe on YouTube, your favorite podcast platform, rate us 5 stars, comment, like it, share your friends, tell everyone, woo, join our Patreon, our Discord, all that fun stuff as well. Giveaways, game meetups, fun VR discussion, all that stuff. Only in the Ruff Talk VR Discord. Mm-hmm. So jokes aside, we'll go into our final thoughts and our rating. Our final ratings broken up into 5 categories: gameplay, aesthetics, functionality, replayability, and value. Each broken down 1 to 20. So starting with gameplay, very easy category in this game. 20 out of 20. It hits the dungeon crawler, RPG, roguelite, whatever you want to define it as. It's fun as fuck. It's so good. It's such a good game. It's so fun. Othergate, they did a really good job just making a fun game. Hack and slash, shooting, magic, avatar customization, co-op, single player. They did a great job. So this game is just fun. And with that, 20 out of 20 on gameplay. Aesthetics, I'm going to give them a 15 out of 20. Visually, it's great. Audibly, it's great. The sound effects, the in-game music, they do a really good job capturing the theme. 20 out of 20 on aesthetics. That's a coveted category. I can't quite go there, but it's damn good graphics, So 15 on aesthetics. No hate there. 15's a great score. Functionality, I've had no glitches or anything. We actually had one glitch pre-release on a puzzle that it didn't open, but that doesn't really count. I've had no glitches in the entire time since it's been out October 5th, and that was the only glitch that time as well. The game is very polished, for having puzzle mechanics. The physics in it are great. You know, it's not like if you have like a staff, like a magic staff, you don't have to like hot grab a selected location. It's not like, boom, you go to grab and your hands move into that spot. Wherever you grab on the weapon is where you grab. And I love that touch. So, I mean, the physics are great on it. The combat's great. The magic in it's great. The potions, everything works great in it. So honestly, 20 out of 20 on functionality. The next category, replayability, in the sense that it's just fun as hell. I'm a loot whore. I'm addicted to getting loot. Level 20, you're 20 plus. Hasn't hit a wall. I don't think it's going to for a while. It's fun. It's endlessly fun. I want to keep going into it. 20 out of 20 on replayability and value. $29.99 is actually expensive by VR standards, but not expensive by gaming standards at all. For the amount I've played it, I have gotten easily $30 worth of fun and enjoyment out of this game. I'm going to give it a clean 20 out of 20 on value as well. So the only category I hit them at all was aesthetics. They got clean 20s across the board otherwise for a final score of 95 out of 100. One of the best releases of this year, and man, it's going to be hard to top that as the best co-op game of the year. Watch out, Ghostbusters. I thought that they would be the shoo-in for co-op game of the year.
You don't know that they're not.
This is going to be a hard one to beat, dude.
We're already, we're getting close to the end of the year.
This is going to be a hard one.
As long as they don't do one of that, hey, December 22nd.
This is going to be a hard one to beat.
Ghostbusters will be in your hand. And then you have Survivor Man VR just dropped last week.
Yeah, but that's not co-op. But just I agree, these end of the year games is tough for the. That's why we wait.
Simulator,
and then
that's co-op.
Yeah, but Dungeons of Eternity is going to be hard.
So, but
hard to
Power
beat.
Wash Simulator is not an RPG either. So, they would be separate categories to some best simulator because it's tough, man. It's going to be a tough award ceremony this year for sure. So gameplay, I agree with you. It's an easy 20 for me. I love it 10 times more than I thought I would. I don't know why it really took 2 times for me to love it like that, but it did. And then I'm like, I get all anxious. I'm like, I'll send you a message. I'm like, dungeons? We can do some dungeons? Aesthetics, here's where it gets hokey. If I were to score it on a Quest 2, it would be a 15 out of 20. If I score it on the Quest 3 with the settings enabled, it's an 18 out of 20. So I have a variance in my score right there. I'm reviewing it on the Quest 3, not the Quest 2. I've played it on both, but definitely the improvement on the Quest 3 with the settings enabled through the game settings, game changer for those. I mean, because you can click it in real time and see it change right in front of your face. So I give it an 18. Functionality, I give them an 18. I've had a couple minor issues, but enough that if like I righteously said a 20, I'd probably be doing an injustice to myself, only because I've experienced, because, I'm a heavy with the crossbow. Occasionally you'll have to, really reach back there to try to grab it. Or I've even had it happen with my axe, because I love throwing that. I'll try to grab it and it's not really registering right away. I'll do it 2 or 3 times and then it'll pop into my hand. But overall, it functions. Throw a weapon, hits enemies can block it. You can, I don't know. I've nothing that's like game killing, but an 18. Replayability, amazingly, I thought this was going to be the category that if I were going to hit them on something, it would probably be replayability. These styles of games, eventually you feel like you will hit a wall. Been going at this for weeks, and I mean going at it pretty hard, and I don't feel like I've even just begun. I'm like, I'm level 20 and I'm like, I know there's more weapons, they do more things. I want to keep playing it. I've whined on air and off air to you that like, hey, I kind of don't want to stop playing this as much as we've been playing it, but I get it. So, but a 20 on replayability, they did a freaking fantastic job. $29.99 value for money, and that's seems to be in par for a really well done game. I can't argue the $29.99. I would say it is a 20 out of 20 on value. You're going to get your money's worth. it fills an itch for like every style of gaming around like dungeon crawlers or RPGs. It's again, I can't say anything bad about it. They've done a brilliant job in kind of making you, if you're a completionist, you could stick to the whole time and just do the dungeon runs. Like kind of you and I went down that road before we decided it's time to do some exo runs and not be bored with it. Because you're like, I haven't done this dungeon before. And I know I didn't because it didn't exist 10 minutes ago. But to know that like you got the soul runs you can do, because eventually you're going to want all those potions. You're going to want them because you might be a level 30 and shit's going to get real hard. You might need invisibility and the bomb that you can have, because bombs are pretty cool too. You're getting a tremendous amount of gameplay on a game that I don't think on paper represents itself well enough to know that like the amount of hours you can really, exert playing this is substantial. But on paper, I don't see that. I didn't get the feeling when I played this that I would give it a like replayability score of a 20 ever. It like has blown my mind with that. So 20, 18, 18, 20, 20 is a 96. So 1 point off from yours, but I mean, we just got there different ways.
Yeah. No, I can't argue with that either. I've been liking your deviations and the in-betweens as well.
Yeah.
So
it was deserving. So. It's not, I wouldn't say 100, but a 96 and
95.
Yeah. Dude. And not for nothing. They came out on release day with a really good product.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hear of any real issues people were having.
People are talking about it a bunch in our Discord. So
yeah, it's a fun game.
One of the best games of the year. Comes out late, but let's see how it holds up at the award show. So Dungeons and Eternity, I feel like we couldn't have talked about it enough. Probably could have talked about it more, but that's a different conversation. We'll keep talking about it a whole bunch. Probably stream it some more and everything like that. So this one's great. This one's a good one.
I'm happy about it.
Yeah.
I just wish I'm happy and sad.
We'll keep going with it, but if you enjoy this episode, subscribe, rate us 5 stars, and guess what? We'll check you out next week.
We're out of here.
Ciao, ciao.